Hi, my name is Nick Alcock, and I'm a criminal defense and DUI attorney. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some strategies that you can use if you do get pulled over for DUI and what should you do. So if you get pulled over for DUI, you need to know that first of all, the police officers are really starting their investigation before you even have stopped the vehicle. So the manner in which you drive once the lights are on, the length of time it takes for you to pull over, where you park, how you park, all those factors are taken into consideration. If it's late at night, I can guarantee you that the police officer has already started an impaired driver investigation, a DUI investigation, before he even approaches your car. So that officer is looking for, did that person park erratically? How did they park within the stall? How long did it take for them to acknowledge that there was a police officer with lights behind them? All those factors are very, very important. And believe me, juries are interested to know, well, how did the person park? Did they park sideways in a parking stall? Did they park in a way which looks like they're possibly impaired? Even if a parking lot is completely vacant, park in a parking space. Don't put yourself in a position where that police officer can say, oh yeah, you know, he came into this parking space and he was sideways in it and he was driving erratically. So, police officers coming up to your car and you're sitting there, what should you be doing? Any type of furtive movement, any type of gesture, any type of moving around quickly, that's going to be noted by the police officer, and it can possibly be used against you. So if there's an open container in the car, if there's anything like that, and it looks like someone's trying to hide something, narcotics, drugs, those factors are definitely going to be taken into consideration by the police officer. So you want to stay smooth. You want to be able to not look like you're trying to hide something, because that's really going to arouse the police officer's suspicion. If you're fiddling around with something, you're tying your shoe, the cop is probably going to treat you differently than if you're just sitting calmly. That being said, it is a good idea to have everything ready. And in my car, I've got my proof of insurance, I got my registration, and everything's good to go in an envelope. If I get pulled over, hand that envelope over to the police officer. I've got everything that I need. I'm not fumbling through my glove compartment. If you do that, that's going to be used against you in court, that you were impaired, you couldn't find where your registration was, you couldn't find where your insurance document was. There are a lot of times police officers will say, well, he really exhibited signs and symptoms of impairment because he had his wallet open and there was his driver's license and he was flipping through it trying to find his driver's license. People get nervous when police officers are right there at the window and saying, I need your license and registration. Nervousness is not impairment by alcohol or other drugs. But unfortunately, if you happen to be nervous, that nervousness will probably be used against you. The police officer will say, well, that guy was really nervous. He couldn't find his license, couldn't find his registration, couldn't find his insurance document. Little details like whether or not your shirt was tucked in, whether or not your clothing was orderly. Details like that can also really affect a DUI investigation and can affect whether or not the police officer is going to start a DUI investigation. So just be very aware of that. When a police officer comes up to your car, you're not under arrest, and so he doesn't necessarily have to read you your rights. And the police officer could just ask questions like, have you been drinking tonight? Do you feel impaired by alcohol tonight? Where are you coming from? My advice to you is that, one, don't lie to a police officer, but you also don't need to give them information which can then later be used against you. If you have reason to believe that you're quite impaired by alcohol, then what you should probably say is, look, I'd like to speak with my attorney before I answer any questions about this. Typically police officers are used to impaired drivers saying they've had 1 or 2 drinks, and that's code for 7 or 8 drinks. So if you say, look, I've just had 1 or 2 drinks, I'm fine, you're all but guaranteeing a DUI investigation. You're all but guaranteeing that he's going to pull you out of the car and ask you to do the field sobriety test. So once the field sobriety tests start, they're very, very subjective tests, and you're essentially putting yourself at the mercy of the police officer as to whether or not he feels like you're impaired by alcohol. You don't have to do the field sobriety test. My advice, again, ask to speak with an attorney. That pretty much shuts down the investigation, and the police officer has to decide, do I arrest this person or not? If you park perfectly, if you have your registration with you, if you've got your license on hand, you turn it over, you're polite, all those factors might make it difficult for that police officer to arrest you at that moment to determine that there's probable cause. Even if he does, a lawyer later can then file a motion saying, look, this police officer had no reason to arrest this person. They weren't exhibiting any signs and symptoms of impairment, even if later turns out that they were over the legal limit. If you've been pulled over for a DUI, you have any questions about what happened, whether or not you've got a motion to dismiss, what your options are in court, give us a call, 602-989-5000. That's 602-989-5000. My name is Nick Alcock, and I'd love to help you. Again, 602-989-5000. Thanks so much.